Cassie Plummer's whereabouts remain unknown in Coronation Street, leaving her future uncertain. And Fiz Dobbs is beginning to fear that Ross Wilkes may have committed a terrible act. Viewers will remember that Cassie's world came crashing down last week after Ross uncovered her scheme to spike his smoothie in an attempt to get rid of him once and for all. The plan went disastrously wrong when Tracy Barlow accidentally drank the smoothie and was rushed to hospital. Cassie's actions were exposed, leading Tyrone Dobbs to cut ties with his mother, while Steve McDonald ended their relationship. Desperate to leave everything behind, Cassie accepted a job aboard a cruise ship. However, it remains unclear whether she ever reached her destination, as the last time she was seen, she was being driven away in Ross's car. Since her disappearance, Steve has been left regretting that he never patched things up with Cassie, and her continued silence has left him increasingly unsettled. Although Steve is heartbroken over the situation, Fiz is becoming far more worried about Cassie's safety, especially as every attempt to call her goes straight to voicemail. Ross had already given Fiz reason to be suspicious earlier in the week after she overheard him telling Steve that he hadn't seen Cassie. He later changed his story, admitting he had dropped her at Piccadilly Station when Steve reminded him that he had seen the pair driving away together. As Ross had appeared shocked by Cassie's sudden departure the day before, Fiz immediately sensed that something wasn't adding up. Although she told Ross she was prepared to overlook his dishonesty this time, she made it clear that she wouldn't tolerate any more questionable behavior and warned that he'd be shown the door if he stepped out of line again. Today's episode proved she hadn't let the matter rest, as she once again questioned him about the journey with Cassie. While the two were alone in the Rovers, Fiz pressed Ross to explain exactly where he had left Cassie, asking him to provide more specific details. Ross kept his composure and insisted that Cassie's complete lack of contact wasn't unusual for her, but Fiz clearly wasn't buying his explanation. Will Fiz uncover the truth about what really happened during Ross and Cassie's final journey together? And what will Tyrone think when he discovers that Fiz no longer trusts his father? Coronation Street hints at a tragic new chapter for Todd. Coronation Street actor Gareth Pierce has revealed what viewers can expect when Todd Grimshaw returns to Weatherfield after taking a brief break from the ITV soap. Todd left the cobbles after his close friend Sarah Platt was jailed for the murder of his abusive partner, Theo Silverton. Seeking to escape the turmoil, he traveled to Thailand to spend time with his mother, Eileen Grimshaw. However, his time away is coming to an end, with his return set to air in the coming weeks. Speaking to Inside Soap while discussing his nomination for Best Actor at the Inside Soap Awards, Gareth explained that fans will notice a significant change in Todd's personality when he comes back. "We wanted Todd's trip to Thailand and his return to feel like a fresh start," Gareth said. "The experience may have made him a bit more hedonistic, and we're bringing back his sense of humor, but with a sharper edge of sarcasm and cynicism." He continued, "Todd has always had a cutting wit, but over time we've watched him soften and become more loyal and trusting. Unfortunately, his relationship left him deeply hurt. As a result, he's putting his emotional defenses back up. I think audiences will find that quite tragic because they've grown very fond of him. At first, you'll see him protecting himself in ways that can come across as rather mean." Todd's ordeal as the victim of domestic abuse at the hands of Theo left Coronation Street viewers devastated, and Gareth Pierce has revealed that the experience will continue to shape the character long after the storyline has ended. "Absolutely. I think it's important that those experiences stay with him," Gareth explained. "At the same time, we don't want Todd to remain defined by that relationship or become trapped in that chapter of his life." He added, "We still want him to be an engaging character who can reconnect with all the qualities people enjoy, whether that's his cheeky sense of humor, sharp wit, or playful personality. The emotional scars will always be part of him, but for me, it's important that they aren't presented in an obvious or heavy-handed way." Alia reaches a major decision in Coronation Street as Idris's true colors emerge. When Idris Nazir first arrived in Coronation Street, Alia Nazir was delighted to welcome the man she believed was her cousin. Since then, however, everything has changed. The biggest shock of all is that Idris isn't actually related to her, making the whole situation even more awkward. Whenever a stylish newcomer turns up in a flashy car, plays the hero, and rescues familiar faces from trouble, soap fans know it's only a matter of time before their darker side is exposed. Idris made a great first impression by throwing a group of troublesome customers out of Speed Doll, convincing the residents that he was one of the good guys. Before long, he had taken Brody Michaelis under his wing, charmed Leanne Battersby into a romance, and won Alia's complete trust, with her believing he could do no wrong. The only person who never bought into Idris's act was Alia's boyfriend, Adam Barlow, though given his tendency to distrust almost everyone, few paid much attention to his concerns. But this is Soapland, and appearances are rarely what they seem. On the very day he arrived, Idris revealed his ruthless side by pinning Damo against a ginel wall and intimidating him into handing over money he claimed was owed. It quickly became clear that Idris was far more than an ordinary property developer. In reality, he is a merciless slum landlord whose neglect of his properties allowed dangerous black mold to spread. The appalling conditions left Abby Webster's young son, Alfie Franklin, in hospital with severe breathing problems and forced the Webster family to search for a new place to live. Idris also had no hesitation in dragging Brody into his schemes, using the teenager to carry out his dirty work by abducting the landlord responsible for the damp problems and frightening him into facing the consequences. To make matters even more uncomfortable for Alia, her boyfriend Adam is acting as Abby's solicitor in the legal case against Idris. However, an even bigger revelation was still to come. When Idris attempted to persuade Alia to sell her share of Speed Doll, he dropped a life-changing secret that left her stunned. Rather than being her cousin, he revealed that he is actually her uncle. Fans may need to untangle the Nazir family tree because Idris turned out to be the son born from Sharif's affair during his marriage to Yasmin. That makes him the half-brother of Alia's late father, Kal, meaning he is Alia's uncle, a truth Yasmin had kept hidden for years. Idris admitted that exposing the long-buried family secret was all part of his plan to gain control of Speed Doll. He later told Leanne that while Alia had refused to sell the restaurant out of loyalty to Yasmin, discovering the deception might change her feelings towards her grandmother. Despite the shocking news, Alia initially stood firm and insisted that Idris's revelation would not alter the way she dealt with him. That resolve is about to be tested. In upcoming Coronation Street episodes, Alia finds herself preparing to give up her share of the family business. After Adam points out that she has missed a crucial deadline and can no longer balance both her legal career in the restaurant, Alia realizes she has no choice but to make a difficult decision. She later visits Speed Doll and tells Leanne that she has decided to put her share of the business up for sale. When Leanne asks who the buyer will be, Alia explains that she intends to sell to an old family friend. But is she secretly referring to Idris? Coronation Street airs on weeknights at 8:30 p.m. on ITV1 and is available to stream from 7 a.m. on ITVX.